Bush.
Cain Uncut, say it loud, don't give a what. Wrestling pedigree, blood and sweat. Cain Uncut, you ain't heard nothing yet.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Cain Uncut. We just had our first episode this past weekend, and every Monday we'll be doing Cain Uncut. I'm the co-host Matty, and along with me I have the legendary, the ever so delightful Sonny, the man Eagle Cain. How are you, sir?
Doing good, sir.
It feels like deja vu, done it doing this?
Something like that.
Yeah, let's get straight into it. We just finished Monday Night Raw. We are just finished off Monday Night Raw in Germany. Let's get into it. What did you think of the show?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought the production was really, really good, and I thought in my view of Monday Night Raw, they are making it more like a PPE or PPL and pay-per-view show by having belt changes, a little bit less talking than they have had in the past year or so, and more wrestling. And nobody on Raw called it a performance. It's not a performance. It's not a real dance. It's two people in there grappling, getting to the end of the punchline, which is whoever wins is the end of the road for them. My pastor said, did they really get hurt? He asked me this just recently, like within a couple of days ago, and I said, yes, they really get hurt. They get banged up. Rhea Ripley was in the ring Friday night on SmackDown, and that one fly out of her mouth because her day was getting busted up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's real, folks. I don't know where that thing is coming from. But anyway, that's real. And there's everything you see in wrestling is not scripted. I get so tired of the couch credit fan who's never wrestled before a day in his or her life come to me and tell me everything I did in the ring was scripted. It is not. Even in the main show back in the day, it wasn't as by the book as it is now. They were still ironing out the kinks. Boo-boos still happened. People give out even today. Like Rhea Ripley again, about 3 weeks ago, legs came out from under her. She fell flat. Everyone was in shock. She had wrestled for like 4 straight days. At that point, she had done the pay-per-view. She had done the SmackDown before, the Raw after, and there she was again. So she had no rest in between, and your body has rest. I don't care if you're 20, 21 years old as Siobhan Evans. You have to have a break once in a while to rejuvenate and go again. When I did it, I worked a job and a half, and then I went and did it on the weekend, so I had no recovery time.
Yeah,
it happens.
Absolutely. So let's get into Monday Night Raw. Let's go straight into the main event. What was your take on AJ versus Gunther? I thought it was a phenomenal match.
Phenomenal match. Gunther got beat. Plain and simple.
He tapped like a bitch.
The man tapped. Anybody with eyeballs could tell the man tapped. So that tells me that AJ Styles still has some gas left in the tank, and we could see him another year or two, even though I think this year's his final run, if I'm not mistaken.
He has classed it. It's his final run. And do you not feel that it's a clever finish?
Sir?
Did you not feel that it's a clever finish for what the Gunther?
Sure. Flair stole many abouts. So, I mean, the champions have done that in the past. That's an old school technique, kind of, sort of. And the referee not seeing it as old school. So the whole match was sort of old school, angled more than the John Cena match, even I thought, by the way they used particular moves that hadn't been used in a while. I like the reversal deadlocks that AJ Styles put on Gunther for a change versus always seeing the ring general in charge. I don't like a one-sided match. I like it when it's kind of like a football game, that they're neck and neck and bottled up. Or knotted up. That's what I like seeing in the ring. I don't like seeing an easy win or an easy pin for somebody. So,
where do you see them going from here for both of them? Would you see a rematch down the line?
Probably so. I'm not a betting man by no means, but if I was, I'd bet on the rematch with this between now and the next pay-per-view or at the pay-per-view. I think AJ Styles has a reasonable chance of walking away the world champion and leaving the ball game as a world champion.
I can see I think they'll go like a best out of 5. I think they'll do. So I think they'll have the next match at Saturday Night Main Event, and then a build up to that. It was a clever finish. I loved it. It was unique, and I just love Michael Cole going batshit crazy on it. Say he tapped.
Everything that the ring general does is unique, and that's why I like him so much. It's not the same show. It's never the same moves. It's never the same routine. He mixes it up with anybody, and to his credit, he's taken on everybody. So. From Jey Uso to AJ Styles. So, I mean, the guy doesn't back away from a challenge.
He has a unique style where his style could just work.
He's even got a sense of humor about it. So, he finds it amusing when they go to it.
It's crazy to think that 6 years ago or 7 years ago that he debuted in WWE in NXT UK. I want to say it was 6 years ago. I think I was there. Pete Dunne won or defended the World Championship, and Gunther, who was Walter at the time, debuted. And crazy to think that this guy has not lost a non-title match. He's lost title matches, but he's never lost a non-title match in the WWE in the singles.
I think the Reigns General and Roman Reigns would be a phenomenal matchup. Both of them being about the same height, the same build, neither one being intimidated by the other one. I think that would be the ticket for a main event.
WrestleMania around the corner. If they don't want to do Cody, if they don't want to do Cody 3, then yeah, I'll pay good money to watch that. What's one of your favorites wrestler tonight? Javon Evans against Bravo Americano.
Did really well, I thought. Watched it pretty much start to finish, and was highly impressed by Javon. At this point, I want to point this out to the general average fan that may be listening and are watching. At this point in Siobhan's career, the W's and the losses don't really matter. What Siobhan needs now is solid mat time in the show. He needs to get his feet wet. He needs to get grounded, just like Braun Breaker, who we'll get to before the show's over. They need to come down 2-3 notches and pace themselves out. They're at the show now. The show is entirely different from anywhere you've ever worked. You can ask anybody in the game. I never went to the show to work in the ring, but how do I know? I know a lot of people that made the show. I turned the show down. They gave me a sorry offer. I said, we ain't going out that way. And that's on my record as part of my legend that I said no to the WWF, not the E, the F, when Vince McMahon had it. But I was not going to put on the green hoodie and a green bodysuit, green and white boots, and go out there and lose every night. Nobody in their right minds would have done that who was trying to tell a story about their career on working their way up. And that's what I was trying to do. If they had allowed me to have been a face, I might would have been a tad more interested in it because I'd been a face. But the answer still probably would have been no because of wanting me to lose all the time. Back in the day, we called that a jobber. Today, stars lose a lot more than jobbers do. They've almost phased out jobbers. Jobbers were your guys who you never heard of, but were in the ring against somebody more well known.
Do you? What was the name gimmick that Erica gave you?
They were going to call me the Green Dot. I said, "Can I be Sonny Cain, the Green Dot?" Because we didn't have the internet back then, folks. That this internet social media thing is still relatively new. It's not been out forever and a day, and maybe some of the younger crowd thinks it's been out forever. In their lifetime, it has, but in the older and in the kids my age, this hadn't always been here like this. So everyone is kind of learning about it now. And if I had been the Green Dot in today's terms, you could have linked me up on the internet, and under my name, it would have had that image, and that would have been fine to have done. But I was in the business building mode even back then, as I am now with Cain Uncut and my other podcast ventures. So nobody wants to be last. Everybody wants to be in the front of the line. And that's why I tell Joe all the time, that's the feel of the general locker room. Everyone wants to be in the front. Everybody wants that belt. Everybody wants that paycheck. And they'll go to any length to do it.
Yeah.
And to get it done.
Talking of any lengths to go to it.
Matt and Jeff Hardy, they said they never, my friends from Cameron, North Carolina, right down the road from me, said they would never ever wrestle against each other. Well, the paycheck came and it was blank, and they looked across at each other and said, this, we got to do this. So even they changed their minds at then and put on a good show or a good bout between the two of them. But real fans of them didn't want to see that. They wanted to see them in brotherly love, so to speak, versus that. So, but the money talks.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your take on Raquel Rodriguez and Steffi Falker segment tonight? I know you're not a fan of the talking, but are you happy with that direction that these two are going? Because Raquel Rodriguez this past year has been a phenomenal improvement.
I'm all for Raquel. I think she is the most underrated person in the show. She scratches for every bit of airtime she gets. She's trying to stand on her own. They're clearly, in my view, not letting her stand on her own totally. And I think she's been ready to stand on her own now for about 6 months. And show what she could do. But once you get in these groups, in real life scenarios, the groups take ownership of you, just like a promoter, and they say, no, you can't leave. Well, I never liked the group, so I still don't like groups. If you notice when I talk about our podcast pals, I say the team. I don't say our group. I mean, even there, I don't like the word group. Team sounds so much better. But she's going to end up on her own as a strong singles wrestler. And why they're holding her back from that now is just blows my mind. I can't understand it. I haven't all sleep thinking about it, but when I watch the show and see the effort she puts out there every show, and then for them to just take it away from her as quick as they do is mind blowing.
Oh, absolutely. What's your take on Finn Balor versus CM Punk next week in Belfast, Northern Ireland?
I think that's going to be the most surprising match of the year. I don't think it'll be Finn's night, but I think Finn's going to do really, really, really well. He was on his own earlier, that about midway of last year, and the match he did phenomenal. as a singles competitor. He is someone else looking to break away from the pack. He seems to be tired of being the pack rat. Dominic Mysterio is looking to break away from the pack. He and Rodriguez have had some eye contact in Liv Morgan's absence. That'll be interesting to see if anything comes of that. So, I've said it on my ex account at Sonny Cain, the Man Eagle 1995. Dom doesn't need anybody. Dom's a breakout on his own. I've been hollering about that for 8 months now, and every time I have, he's bumped up a little bit each time. Not saying that I got him there, but I'm sure it doesn't hurt that somebody believes in him to that point. So I've had here lately. I don't know if it's because of all the podcast time I'm getting or not, but I've had more views on my X account and Instagram than I've had in months. So I mean, apparently people are going there viewing. So I had like 1,200 views last month on my account, something like that. So
wow,
and that was in a month.
I think that's more than me. Every time I go out.
Well, what you got to do is work it every day, and that's what I told a buddy of mine that didn't make it in wrestling. I said, you got to work this thing like a job. And when the camera quits, you're still working. So people think this is a 1 hour shot of somebody talking into a mic. It is not. This is somebody, for me personally, who's put in 25 hours this week in wrestling shows. I'm at the point now that I'm starting to jot down who goes against who in matches, so I can remember specific names clear. You start getting older, your mind goes, and a little bit each year, and it's not as easy as it looks. So it's, I personally thrive on it, but my buddy will tell you it'll take you time if done right. So.
Do you feel Finn Balor is deserved of this title shot? I know it's
I surely do. He has put up with Judgment Day and all of their tomfoolery, and I'd be okay with the win. I don't think he'll get the W, but I'd be fine with it. I mean, he's in shape. He's all together. I don't think he'll get the W here, but I think we could be looking at the Intercontinental title eventually. Maybe for him as a strong singles involvement. I've had my eye on Finn for about 8 months now. So just watching his little discrepancies backstage of not going along with the herd and wondering when he was going to really jump back. And a little bit today, he jumped back. So he said, I'm watching the TV. And for him, that was strong. So This is what I do before I go to work. I relax. So, and I thought, go boy, finally, somebody's in there.
You said Finn probably will lose next week. And then he'll go for the IC title. Do you feel it'll be Finn versus Dominic at WrestleMania?
I've given that a little bit of thought, and I don't know if it'll happen as soon as WrestleMania, but I do think it will happen. They are just from the same cut and the same tree, basically, as far as two wrestlers. They're built similar to each other. They know each other. I think it would be a whale of a match between the two of them. I think you'd see some real hard-hitting moves in it. And I don't think Dominique, the dirtiest player of the game per se, or Dirty Dom, being a little like Ric Flair back in the day, I don't think he would measure up as good against Finn Balor. They've held Finn back. And I don't know the reason in that, but they've been holding Finn back about a year now from full growth. I mean, some guys are leaders and some guys are followers, so maybe he's getting tired of being a follower. Me, I was always kind of a leader. So. Well,
Uh,
the view's so much nicer out front, so you don't have to listen to anybody.
we got a new number one contender for the women's tag team championship. We have the Judgment Day of Liv and Roxanne that will face Rhea Ripley and Io Sky at Saturday Night Main Event next weekend. Yes, next Saturday.
Cool,
What's your take?
My take? Possibly Liv at this point. She's come back like she's had a rocket on her back. And if anyone can take it away this soon from Rhea and Io Sky, it's her. Liv could wrestle all night long. I mean, she's the total package in the women's division in wrestling. She has a lot of mouth to go with it. I mean, she's forever getting herself in trouble. She's forever getting suspended over stuff. But when it comes down to bell time, she's in there with the best of
them. Her interview with Stephanie McMahon on Stephanie McMahon's podcast is really interesting.
Yeah,
it's definitely worth a listen or a watch. It's really, really good. Highly recommended on that one. So let's get into. I think this is going to be the most talked about thing this week, and we'll probably talk about it next Monday.
Okay.
What is your take on the Braun Breaker suspension with Adam Pearce and the whole division?
I think it needs to be revoked, and I think they need to suspend Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce clearly started the whole thing when he touched him. And that just sent the young buck over the top. He's got about, I mean, I'd have him apologize or something of that nature, but I wouldn't let him just roll back into the show. But at the same time, they need to iron that out because they are portraying this to young people. And that is my biggest beef with the industry. I realize I'm making a fist right now over it. They've got to keep in the front seat of their mind. These children are watching this, and this is how children are going to act out later in their adulthoodness. It'll be whatever we put on the screen here. It's called taking accountability. And if you cross lines and blur lines, whoever does it first should be held accountable the most. And in this moment in time, it's Adam Pearce. So he had no right to touch a worker. I think it was done by pure accident. It looked purely real to me. I mean, it looked like it happened so quick that he didn't realize he had really done it. I don't think that was put on. I think it was an accidental touch, but they had ought to go back on SmackDown Friday night, in my opinion, sit down and really talk about it right then and there at a table in a room somewhere, the five of them. Some type of formal apology should be made, and they should get on with it, or something. But to suspend Braun Breaker, no. Braun was over the top, but Braun got pushed.
Yeah,
is my take on it.
He's got that Steiner temper, hasn't he?
And that was not disrespecting I talk a lot about don't disrespect your elders, but the elder in this case disrespected the worker when he grabbed him. So the elder crossed the line first, and just because he is an elder, it shouldn't go unnoticed. And I bet you a box of donuts and a cup of coffee, it goes unnoticed. I mean, that's the way creatives are doing it today, apparently.
Yeah. So. Do you if obviously if his suspension is revoked by Pearce, but Paul Heyman will probably get involved. Where do you see Breaker going after? Do you see him at Royal Rumble?
Maybe. Maybe so. I don't think they're going to send him home. I think they're going to make him pay some money, maybe, or do a little something to say this is his punishment. But in my eyes, he didn't do anything wrong. It was the heat of the moment. They both lost their tempers. They should basically shake hands and play nice and go back out and work and do it again. Not the push and shove thing, but they should do the match again. And that would be the gentlemanly way to go about it. Not this come WrestleMania, we still don't have a resolution to this. That was my thing against Naomi. Naomi goes and pushes somebody into a car window, and nothing was ever done about it. So you are sending these messages to young people. If you can't beat them, push them in the car window. It's got that's the best. If I had kids, I would turn their little heads away from it. I mean, I wouldn't let them watch all of it in certain aspects of it because it's a big sin. And I'm someone that's done it, someone that breathes it, but still.
Well, I'm out of times I wanted to do that to my boss to just throw him through the car window. But the person that got thrown in the car window, Jake Cargo, did get revenge back on Naomi. So
yeah, finally, after months, months.
So let's get into some of the news. Obviously, Omofemi relinquished his title on NXT last week, and the last image of NXT last week was NXT title in the ring, stood up on its own, and in the background was Tony D'Angelo. With NXT, who do you think, Ava, thinking as the general manager, who do you think will step up, and who would you want to be in this title picture now in NXT?
I've given this some thought, and I still need a little more time to think about it. So much of the talent's gone now. We don't have a lot to choose from. So, they called 6 of our big guns up, and that's like calling half of the defensive line to the show. So they're gone. I mean, Trick's gone, Joe Hendry's gone, Siobhan's been gone. They just ain't there, and I think they're going to be 2 or 3 more called up. So what are they going to do? I think they do it to have another TNA involvement where they bring in more TNA talent to replace ones that have been gone up. And then I can answer that question fair. So
I could see the lights. I could see the lights of Moose stepping up from TNA. And whoever loses this the title match on TNA on AMC premiere episode between Santana and Kazarian, I think whoever loses that will go after the NXT title.
Did you hear the word about Chris Jericho was seriously considering going to TNA maybe instead of WWE, and that's a little bit of the holdup.
I think either way he's going to end up back in WWE. Is a given. Him and TNA, I think, would be a really interesting spot for him, and I think they'll just give him creative control, and he can just do what the hell he wants, and he'll make money. He'll make money for himself. He'll make money for TNA, get more exposure, and then he'll go back to.
And it'd be a chance for him to get tuned up for WWE. Truthfully, I think it'd be a solid move for him to go there and get warmed up again to the higher caliber matches more than he's used to from AEW. And I followed him since World Championship Wrestling, so I'll go wherever he goes. But I think it's a real business-minded move on his part that, hey, I don't need the show right now. I'm going to go get warmed up and get myself together fully and then come back to the show. So
I think it's going to be a little bit rusty, seeing as I think that this last match was like mid-2025 when he was doing the learning tree spots. So since then and to now, that's a long time to be out of the ring. So hopefully...
a long time.
So if he does go to TNA, I think that'd be a good way to get his ring rust gone and get match fit kind of thing.
And that goes back
And
to
then,
what I said on my first episode of Cain Uncut. When they go down like that, that's the point of them doing that. When they go and even visit NXT, it's to practice and get tuned up again, because it's a whole different crowd from NXT to the WWE universe wide open. I mean, in NXT, you're playing to maybe 800 people.
yeah.
And then you walk out in front of 15,000. So it's a whole different can of worms to do that, to remember what you're supposed to do, and all this. But what I am liking is seeing these groups and these tag teams now starting to wrestle individually again, away from each other, and showing what they're capable of doing on their own. I think it's good for the business. I think it's a good strategy for the money market to show that people still have it. And folks, there's real stock in WWE and in NXT that anyone can buy. At one point last year, I think WWE stock, I may be dead wrong, maybe a WWE guru out there knows the answer to this, but I think Joe Bentley told me on the air that it was around $45 a share.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So if you came in on that level and bought a few shares at that price, and this thing continues to go up, like I'm telling my old man it will eventually, again, that it's going in that direction, you can go have something. $45 is a good round number. And if I'm wrong, somebody can hit me on X or hit me on my Facebook and tell me, or even a comment here and tell me the exact numbers. But this was a year ago, so it's probably higher now.
It probably is. I mean, they put the ticket prices higher, so they probably put the stockholders higher. Just a couple quick questions I want to ask you. When we were doing the interview episodes on Wrestling Pedigree with you, I forgot to ask this. When obviously you were a wrestler in the early 90s, was WCW on the table with you?
They weren't totally on the table with me, but I did attend their house shows, and I did continue to make my contacts while being there. I went to one where Flair and I got back together in the picture behind me. That was in 1989. And Steamer came in the building and knew who I was from having dealt with me in the 70s a little bit. He knew Mom. And it was always a learning experience, because I'd get to get a little bit closer to it than the average fan would. That is not a fanfare picture behind me of Flair and I. That's two old friends meeting up, saying, "Hey, how's it going?" He actually came out to Mom's house a few weeks after that and visited her a little bit. But you know, I never just went to a show to watch. I always went to meet the promoter. I always went to meet the bookie. There was always more to it than me just being there trying to have a good time. And I was yelling to people back in '89, "I'm going to do this. This is where I feel they had to do." Kind of like the Elvis story of when he made his mind up to sing, nobody could talk him out of it. And in my opinion, he couldn't really sing in the early days. He just yelled a lot. But his singing caught up to him about the time as he began to age, in my opinion, and he really could belt the older he got. But he had fun with it. That's what people like. And that's what I'm doing now with the podcast. Now I'm having a ball. I'm in here learning the ropes and the business ends of it. Never thought I'd have my own show this fast, but buddy of mine and I talked about that probability too about 6 months ago, and you presented it to me as a reward or award on my interview take, and I was speechless for a few minutes. So.
What's obviously you were around at that time with WCW, like watching them. what was the difference between that WCW and what you did? You watch WCW before it closed business?
I did.
So what was the difference between your WCW that you were trying to promote yourself to get in before you retired, and then the WCW when it ended? What was the difference that you could see? And
It
why
was
do you think?
for maybe somebody, again, maybe a wrestler listening to this podcast may have a different take on it, but in the beginning, in the early days of it, or before it went so major corporate as it did when it became Nitro and all that, it was a friendlier, laid back environment. It wasn't where the big stars, they would go down to Atlanta. They had the little studio that was kind of like Channel 5, and where they let maybe 500 screaming fans in to watch the show. And if you noticed on some of the tapes, you can see, because I've done this, but you can see the same fans in about the same seats week after week after week. My buddy Luca, is coming on the show here next week. I'm going to be showcasing him out again, and this time to the world on a much broader scale than when he was on Joe Bennett. But Joe Bennett goes to the 4 million homes, guys. So that's not a small scale by no means. But this is an overseas operation too here. So they're both significant podcasts in their own arenas. How's that? But El Luco will come on and have his spin on things. So, that's somebody to ask too. And he tells me, he says, well, where I'm wrestling now at 880 it's only drawing around 40, 45 fans a show. Is it the same people? Yeah. Well, that's your WWE universe right now. You've got to go out there and win them over to bump yourself up. Oh, I said that's how it works. I said they're buying your pictures. They're putting bread in your wallet. I said play to them like nobody, and that's what you have to do. That's what WCW used to do. NWA, when I was around it, they would play to the fanfare more than they did, in my opinion, when it became WCW Nitro. WCW Nitro took it to the next level and made them megastars. And I got to be honest, I'm not entirely happy with the megastar approach in wrestling these days. I think they ought to go back to the real approach and of the everyday fan. I went for my boom arm, which is a steel device that holds up my mic so I can sound better when I talk. And the guy waiting on me had heard about me, knew who I was, knew I was in the wrestling podcast. We had a 15-minute conversation about wrestling. And that's really what you want. Those people build your business. At the end, he gave me a deal. He gave me my parts free. It wasn't that much, and certainly something I couldn't have paid for. But he said, no, man, I support what you're doing here. And said it in front of a front end manager, and she let me walk out the door with it. But anyway, it's the little things. But it was just like jacked on steroids or something when they became WCW Nitro. In my personal opinion, they had a good idea that they let go crazy, and I'm not going to point fingers at nobody because I don't know who was to blame. But somebody there was in charge, like in WWE, and that person is probably the one to blame, in my opinion. The person saying that they signed, whoever signed the paychecks, in my opinion, is probably the right person to point fingers at. There is a book called Say Hello to the Bad Guys that you would love by Mark Ramadani. And he talks about all of that. He talks about when it changed over. I've got a copy of it in my living room now by my recliner. I'm trying to read through it, but he talks about Hulk Hogan turning heel and just the whole match, and that's a book for every diehard fan to get. Say Hello to the Bad Guys by Mark Ramadani.
Wow, I'll go definitely look at that.
Yes, sir.
What's I was surprised by the green dot. I really am.
But they were going to ruin me. They thought. I had just begun forming the Man Eagle, and I'm part Indian, so it came along really well, and I made out okay after that. I'm not going to say the person's name, but I met up with a tag team partner after that. We ran about 2 years together collectively, and we were up for tag team titles. So he got picked up by the show as a face, and I kept going outward in the indies. And my plan was to stay in the indies until they bought me a deal I could live with. I mean, that was my initial what do we do now approach to this. And nobody believed in my dream. At that time, my to-be ex-wife didn't believe in it. My family certainly didn't believe in it. I bought the Triangle Wrestling Federation title home with me and still have it currently because God never paid me. But, you know, those are the breaks of the business. And
yeah,
when I see wrestlers not being used today in the show, it hurts my feelings. I mean, they don't get paid unless they work. So
everybody's got guaranteed contracts now in the top notches and in like AEW and WWE and TNA. Now the contracts are kind of like a bit better in indies, but it still could be better.
Well, in my day, if you did work the card that night, you didn't get paid. And I don't care if they were offering you $250. If you didn't get your fanny in the ring and work, you went home empty. Unless you had a picture table. And I began to work the table, and the promoter from Charlotte, North Carolina, another true story, got hell at me because I made at the table with Jeff Hardy what I would have made working in the ring. Mama was stunned at the money Jeff and I produced, and then I could have her in 30 minutes. She said they threw money at you. I said, well, I said, we got enough to eat. I said, I think we ought to go and take it with us out the door. Mama Jeff and I walked out the door, and he walked over to his car at the time. And it's always been friendly between Jeff and I. And if I were to see him today, it'd be that same way. I'm not mad that they're not responding to me right now. They're really busy people. So with their championships, and I think Jeff may be tending to a wrestling injury he may have at this time, if you could believe any of that stuff on Facebook about it. So
if it's on Facebook, 9 out of 10 is usually bullshit.
Exactly. You've got to really read between the lines to figure it out.
Unless it's on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
I think the only Facebook page I really rely on is probably Fightful.
I read that too.
I think SRS is like one of the reliable ones where you do bullshit, but apart from that, a lot of them, like, it's just clickbait, like massive clickbait.
So were you disappointed that there was a Braun Breaker conclusion tonight on Raw of what may happen to him in the coming days?
No,
I know. Not a real conclusion. I mean, they said he was indefinitely suspended, but you can't go by that either because of the seriousness of the situation of how it all came about. So. And I don't think Paul Heyman's going to let that fly. I think he's going to have Braun back there on the leash behaving himself.
The amount of lawyers that Paul Heyman's used over the decades, well, with ECW and everything else like that, he probably has the best freaking lawyers in the business. So I think that suspension will probably get lifted next week. But I'm one of those fans where I just go through the storyline. If it don't turn out the way I want it, that's fine. You go to the next episode, and
Exactly. It's kind of what you have to do today.
I will sometimes go online and bitch and complain, but I won't go like, oh, I'm never gonna watch this product again or stuff like that, because you will.
It's addictive.
Pro wrestling, watching pro wrestling, being part of pro wrestling is addictive. Right. You want to feel the most adrenaline rush when you hear a returning music, or when it's a shock like Drew McIntyre winning on SmackDown. It's that adrenaline. As a fan, you think, holy shit, I was there watching it, or holy shit, I was in that arena. That is the most adrenaline rush. Like, next week, I'm going to Progress Wrestling in Camden in London next weekend.
Cool.
I know I'm going to get that adrenaline rush, because they do the best wrestling in British indies at all. They're the best ones. So when I watch them, I know I'm going to be entertained. I'm going to get that adrenaline. They're going to put every match is going to be a banger. So it's hard to think why some wrestling fans think it's really good just to say or pick on the wrestler. I've seen so many wrestlers shut down their social media because there's tribalism and bullshit crap like that.
And I promised myself when I got into podcasting industry that I was not going to be that person, that I was going to tell it like I believe it to be, and I believe it to be creatives today and promoters on the indies. And that's as it's always been, and why they don't. And I said this on X, and it's got a few views. Why they don't have Paul Heyman at the creative table in WWE now instead of playing the role he's playing blows my mind. Paul Heyman is the greatest, most skillful guy in the show when it comes to what works. I mean, he has taken bad idea after bad idea and made it work.
Yeah. I was saying,
and they all listen to him. So
obviously, I read a lot of articles, autobiographies, watched shoot interviews and podcast interviews. So for me, I think one of the genius, Paul Heyman is a genius, but I think another genius that's actually on the creative is Michael P.S. Hayes.
Absolutely. I
think he's so creative.
He's the rock and roll wrestler of all time, period.
Yep. His Hall of Fame speech for me is one of the greatest of all time.
When they show you, I forget exactly what they called it now, but they used to call it WWE moments, and they would go back and they would have NWA billboards up and back of the wrestlers, Ric Flair, Steamboat, Dick Murdoch. I was at a lot of those shows in the crowd. And I told this to Gerald Bentley, and his jaw dropped open. I said, my grandfather would work me during the day, 9, 10 hours, and say, get washed up. You're going to the fight tonight. So it wasn't always my choice to go. But that was the motivation behind it. And you went, and some nights it was hot, and some nights it was a sleeper, but you still went. And I said, why do I have to go? He said, well, if you really want to be this, you need to see what they really go through. My grandpa had a third grade education. 3rd, 4th grade.
Wow.
But streetwise, he had the college degree. I mean, he knew how to make it in the street. Period.
Do you think? You just mentioned NWA. So we got NWA now. That is being owned by Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins. So, what's your take on today's version of NWA? Have
I
you
like
seen
it.
any of it?
I like it still. I think they're trying to get back to the root of it. I think they are. I said this in my interview with Joe Bentley, and he got it the first time I said it. They're kind of rebirthing the baby a little bit, saying, "Okay, this is where we were. This is what we want to get back to. We're going to need more stars." And everyone wants a star. It's like when you go to wrestling schools, I guarantee there are going to be one or two guys to come out of the school that are going to do it for 34, 35 years. And I'm one that did it in Ivan, and I know another one that did it in Ivan. And so, I mean, but to my knowledge, we're the only two that did it that's done it from Ivan as long as we have. And again, I'm not going to call any names, but it's just remarkable that somebody would stay after something that many years. That was a long freaking time ago. Gosh, 1991, 1992.
I really like this NWA.
Where does the time go?
Exactly. Well, I like this new NWA because I think they got some great wrestlers on there now that they're building up really well. That probably will get snatched up by TNA or AEW or WWE. Like Mike
Man to
Mondo.
watch is Kerry Morton in the NWA. He's going to be there.
Yeah.
He's going to continue to make history there. He's a young lad of 23, 24 years old. He's got all the time in the world to hang out there. He's going to be multiple NWA World Heavyweight Champion until he gets tired of holding it, probably. And what I admire so much about Kerry is, although his dad, my friend Ricky Morton, is stepping in to help him, Kerry is there on his own. 24 years old. Do you know how many titles he's already won? I did a commentary on him. He's won 24 titles.
Wow.
He's won a title for every year he is old. And they've not just given it to him. I mean, he's actually gone out there on his own and said, I can hold. And that's what this business needs. We need more young bucks. We need people going to the schools more. We need these schools turning out more quality wrestlers. They need to sell more than they do. They just go through the move and nobody sells anymore. I heard one of the guys, again on Facebook, say that one of the older wrestlers who I admire, and I can't think of his name right now. It happens when I go in there sometimes. But he said it might have been the Heartbreak Kid even, but he said what they need to do is sell more. It's not a total dance out there, and it's not. You got somebody coming at you with a clothesline knocking you over the top rope, folks. That's as real as it gets.
Yeah. So. I've seen, I think it was Chris Van Vliet podcast this 2 weeks ago. He had Stone Cold Steve Austin on, who is one of the greatest of all time.
Right.
And he said, what's the best advice you could give young wrestlers? So Stone Cold said, sell. Sell, because if you're selling, then the other guy will sell, and then you get a better match and get a better pay. I think that one of the best wrestlers I ever seen sell, apart from Shawn Michaels, is Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Nick Nemeth, I think he's one of the best sellers.
I agree. Probably so. Ric Flair sold well.
Oh yeah,
Ric Flair sold it like a shot. So, I mean, he sold it like somebody was breaking his arm off.
Yeah.
So and it worked. I mean, it totally worked. And even on the indies, and I speak this from experience, they boot up the guys who walk in there smiling, they're clean. Unless their character is that of a dirty person, they walk in there eager to work. Hey, I'm here. You know, I come I get to every podcast show 15 minutes early, and I send it to whoever and say, I'm here and ready to roll. What time do you want to start? I send that note up to whoever I'm dealing with on that particular given night. And it comes back 1 minute, 2 minutes every time. So and we always start a little bit ahead of the show time. So, but that's showing up eager to go. I mean, that's because you forget the red light zone, and I'm starting to get comfortable now with being live. So I'm not going to badmouth the workers. The workers, it's kind of like a union. The workers are controlled, are largely controlled by the promoters on the indies and by the creatives in the upper leagues. And don't be mad at the wrestlers. Be mad at the people in charge.
Mm.
The fan still has the same power that the fan had when I was going to it in 1975 and 76, and they could vote in and get rid of some of these people. They sure can. Yes, sir. It is fan driven. But the fan is turning its power over to the creative team of whatever league they're going to. The fan buys the tickets. If the tickets don't sell, they can't have the show. And it's always been that way.
But fans, as we saw on Friday, wanted Drew McIntyre to win, who was a heel. They cheered the hell out of Drew, boo Cody, who was a babyface.
Right.
So obviously, some majority of fans in arenas and online just want change. Or sometimes a lot of fans want change every single freaking week.
Right.
But
sometimes it's called.
Yeah.
It depends on how they throw the ball.
As a fellow wrestling fan, I'm happy. If you could tell when I'm hoping that the creative could see when it gets stale and they could just change it, which I thankfully they did this SmackDown. Like we got Maxine versus Becky next week in Belfast for the 6th time in like 3 months.
Yeah, that'll be talked about on Ring Takes.
Yeah. We'll be talked about next week. But
it's something I want to talk about tonight. Before even the airwaves is LA Knight and Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn has world champion written all over him. He's not your biggest guy in the world, but he really impresses me with his I'm here to go attitude. And LA Knight needs more wins. I mean, he comes out real strong, and then they have him deflate, and that's kind of the Randy Orton approach to things a little bit. Randy has a killer ring entrance. Match drags on a little bit. He kind of slows down a little bit too, in my opinion, and that's not knocking them in any way. What I'm saying is they are listening to whoever's telling them what to do backstage, and I don't understand why they're not putting them over more. So I can't get really blackballed out of the game at this time, I don't think, because I'm not competitively in the ring. But as long as I have a mouth, I'll voice what I think about it. And I think creatives just need to go on vacation or something at some point, huddle around each other and say, how do we make this better? Because obviously these long weeks and long hours are starting to take a toll on some of them. I mean, what else would have made Adam Pearce snap?
Yeah.
Adam Pearce was the guy we had. So.
But he does it so well when he snaps. He sold out really well. Pearce was really good tonight.
It may not have all been planned. Some of it may have been real. I'm telling you.
There were some F-bombs and some shits in that promo. Yeah. Enough that Netflix had to beep a little bit. Tried to say shit, but when you say fuck, oh shit.
Right.
Right. So with Cain Uncut, we have 2 segments that Sonny wants to do. So we're getting to the first one, which was the Wrestler of the Week, which we didn't do this past weekend because it was our first show where we were a bit nervous. But let's get into the second one. Wrestler of the Week. Do you have one?
I'm going to try and say her last name right. I'm pretty good with first names. I don't have the 10 pounds of gold championship belt to hold up yet, but I'm told by corporate it's on the way. But my champion of the week has really impressed me for a few months now. Stephanie Vancour.
Valkyr.
Valgear. VAL gear. Okay, I need to do a commentary on this so I can get it right.
VAQUER, so Valkyr.
Valkyr.
As long as you announce the Kier, it'll be all right. Yeah, I agree with you with that one, though. I agree with you. She's been phenomenal over the past 3 months, especially since WrestlePalooza.
And I hope her day gets better. I hope it's not a permanent I'm done thing. And sometimes they are, but I'm hoping it's not. And again, more discipline, area action needs to be taken backstage. I mean, they could have pure coaches backstage going, point, no, come here. But do you feel what I'm trying to get at? I mean, they need more.
Yeah.
This ain't the Wild West approach. Two things. And then the Wild West.
I don't know. Did you see the picture of her ankle that she posted online?
I have.
That has some bruising. Some bruising. So she's your wrestler of the week.
My wrestler of the week.
Maybe
my wrestler of the year next year. Sir?
Well, when we do the year at the end awards show, she may be.
Yeah.
Every time we end this show, we will end it with Sonny's commentary. Which one do you have one this week?
I do. Got to pull it up here on the smartphone a minute. So I took one look at this wrestler, and to me, the champ had walked in the room. And I don't get that feeling with every single wrestler I come across. I just don't. I've not met this lady in person. I've not met any of the new stars in person yet, but she has the air of a champion about her. I appreciate the work she's put into keeping her body toned and up. I used to compete in bodybuilding. I did that for 4 years. And went to 2 shows and brought home a 4th place trophy out of going, which I still have. So I appreciate the work that goes into powerlifting too, as I competed in some junior powerlifting meets. No trophies at that, but I did go and I did train for them. Anytime you see a wrestler that has it all, it is a rare thing. And anybody in the game will tell you that. And this week's commentary of the week is on Jordan Grace with 2 Y's in her name. Stunning to look at. When she talks, you can tell she's got brains in her noggin. She's very respectful to most people. Fanfare had just ought to say the champ is here. You can't look at Jordan Grace and not see a world title belt owner. I mean, in my opinion. So Jordan Grace is a 29-year-old rising star who after dismantling Alba Fry in her WWE debut, got noticed by none other than WWE World Champion Jade Cargill. Now that goes right back to what I just said about the champions here. So, I mean, how many new people does Jade Cargill acknowledge that way? None.
Yeah.
Given her powerful debut, it is fair to ask, who is she and where in the world has she been hiding? What a tremendous athlete. She has benefits from her training as a powerlifter and bodybuilder, no joke. She set the Georgia State National Powerlifting record, including a 355-pound deadlift and a 320-pound squat. It's like a combination of Ben Conan and Arnold Schwarzenegger. All of this being accomplished on a 5'3" frame, folks. I mean, that's tiny compared to your average size female wrestler. I think she has a great chance of being a world heavyweight champion in 2026. It won't be easy. The current champion, Jade Cargill, is 7 inches taller It's 7 inches taller and 10 pounds heavier. The show writers most loved the idea of selling a David versus Goliath angle. When Grace walks out to the ring, the crowd should start yelling, "The champ is here." It will drive Jade crazy and make for a better finish. Jordan is the right brand at the right time. Wrestling with WWE SmackDown, she slams her opponents into the mat with ferocity. You can see and feel her power. Expect to see a lot of Jordan Grace in 2026. And what a natural looking specimen she is. She doesn't wear a ton of makeup right now. She's not all painted up. She's not all dolled up. You could tell, to me, she looks like she left the gym 10 minutes ago. And that's the kind of worker I look for in these athletes who I do commentaries on. It's not my goal to write about every last one, but it is my goal to single out people and help them get some airtime as to who they are. But wow, Jordan Grace.
Absolutely, that's a perfect choice. I really am looking forward to Jordan Grace versus Jade Cargill down the line. I think we might have a new champion by WrestleMania. It might.
We may.
And I hope it's Grace.
And the name's Jordan Grace. I'm telling you, 29 years old. Because TNA's going to keep sending them until they start doing that. They're just going to spin them out one after another, like a rolled up wheel. And it's like when you go to the training camp, as I was saying a few minutes ago, 1 or 2 guys are going to make it, period, out of the 25 there. So, and it's not always the guys training either. It could be a couple wannabe workers like I was and someone else I know. But anyway, it just it's a hard road. It's nothing like fans envision it. I don't believe. I think I'm going to name my book "Walking the Aisle with Purpose."
That's the way.
Yes, sir.
That's a great line. So this is the second episode. We will be on every Monday. I just find it's just really fun to have this kind of show. Talk to you, Sonny, and you can find Wrestling Pedigree on Facebook as Wrestling Pedigree. You can find Instagram on Wrestling Pedigree 92. YouTube, which we're live on tonight, we're Wrestling Pedigree 92. Find me on X, which we're live on X. W freaking A, because I got my old handle back. And you could find Wrestling Pedigree with me and Steve next Sunday. Yes, next Sunday, when we're going on a Royal Rumble month. And the Ross Report and a special Cain Uncut bonus episode will be this Saturday when it's Champions of Minds 2 for our charity live stream show, where I think around 4 o'clock Sonny will be on, and before that Christopher Ross will be on for a Ross Report. So we'll be on for about 8 hours doing it for suicide awareness charities. We will put the QR code up probably a couple of days before we go live. So that's where you can find us. And I'll leave it to Sonny to sign us off again. So where can people find you, sir?
So I'd like to say, please start queuing in your comments, good, bad, ugly. We're happy to hear from everybody that is wanting to send up a comment. They come right up the screen here, onto the front of the screen even. That's the fanfare interaction that I'm interested in having. You can find me at Sonny Cain on X, at the Man Eagle 1995. You can find me at Sonny the Man Eagle Cain on Instagram. I've had a few pickup followers there since I've been PRing that here pretty regularly on the podcast. You can find me at Sonny Cain, the Man Eagle on Facebook. And if you cannot watch the show, you can watch the show re-air again on YouTube, usually a day or so after the show's is shot live. So you got 3 ways to watch it. You can watch it live, you can watch it on YouTube, you can watch it by audio. There you go. And until next week.
Just a quick one. You can find our show, which will be on all audio podcasts available, so Spotify, Apple, everywhere like that. I think we're getting a good deal on Spotify for this particular show, so stay tuned because there will be some special things happening. But as Sonny will say,
so long, good wrestling fans.
oh.